So the challenge is, how do you move from someone moving your practice from here to there? And I'm sure all of you have experienced this, where you want to move your practice in this position, but you can't because you're stuck here and you tried everything and is not here the way you wanted to. I'm Laurence Tham from LaurenceTham.com. I coach chiropractors to help them earn more profit and more freedom. So in this video, I want to show you about the 3 types of people you need in your business. Now, they don't have to be 3 different types of people. It might be 3 different types of people that you have to embrace, but you actually have to have these right combination of these 3 in order for your practice to take it from here to there. So let's start with what we need to talk about. Well, the key element is that I just got off the phone with a practice manager, and they were discussing about why isn't the practice moving the way it's supposed to move. And the challenge, of course, is that oftentimes we think we actually have the right people in place. Now, let's face it. Either you are definitely a hard worker, you're smart, you probably know how to execute certain things, you're doing a whole bunch of stuff, but you don't seem to be able to move towards your vision that you actually have. Now, let me explain why that might be. Is because most of the time we're challenged by this because we think we have strengths that we are really good at, and we also have to have weaknesses. And when we don't acknowledge the strengths that we actually have, and we don't acknowledge the weaknesses that we have, we actually fall into a position where we can't move the business or the practice forward. So the challenge for you is actually making sure you actually have the right 3 combinations in your business. And when I was writing this out and I was thinking about it, I realized that this actually sounds really familiar. And it came from one of my coaches, Dan Sullivan, from Strategic Coach, long time ago. And it's something that I think all of us need to consider. The 3 types of people you need to have is that, think about it. In your practice, you got to ask the question, number 1, is do you have a person who is a visionary? Someone who actually has a vision and a direction of where that practice is going toward. So everybody's clear on that. Now, the challenge with the visionary is that they might have the vision in their head. The second thing is that, but do they actually have the ability to communicate that vision in their mind to their particular staff and or their team? Because if they don't, that's not necessarily a visionary. A strong visionary is someone who has the vision and also has the ability to be able to talk and communicate that vision. That's the person number 1. That's the person that makes things up, right? That's what the visionaries do, because vision is subjective. There's no objective measure to it. It's literally just whatever you want it to be. The second person that's needed is that they need someone who is very strategic in nature, which means that you need someone on your team to be able to take that vision and be able to be strategic and know exactly how to execute that, what plans and strategy that is required to fulfill that objective. So there's the objective, which is the vision, and then next is the strategy. How do you execute? How are we going to get from point A to Z to get there? What are the strategies that's involved to get to that position? That's a second type of person. That is someone who makes something, that's a secondary type of person, right? So that's really important. So the third element, right, the third type of person is that you need a team or people to execute, which means that obviously not execute people, but to execute the things that you need, which means that you have the objective, which is the vision, then you have the strategies in place. Now you need a team or people to execute to get things done, right? That's what happens. You need someone to make it up, you need to make something to make it happen, and you need someone to make it to make it real, right? That's what happens when you get it done, you make it real. So a couple of key elements we need to think about is using something through this nature. And I think it's really important for you to kind of consider this. What happens is that you think about in our lives, we always know about this 80-20 rule, right? The Pareto Principle. And what we want to do is as a person, what you want to do is you want to focus on 20% that gets focused that will give you 80% of the results. So reality is that you want to only do this portion, this part at the top, right? What you want to be able to do is that you want to focus your energy in this section, rather than focusing your energy on this section that doesn't really help you. As if you're a small team, obviously this section has to be done by someone, but when you get larger and larger, and this is why staff is important, because you start delegating, it's really important to kind of start delegating the right perspective. So when you get bigger, what you want to do is you want to cut that 20% of the top to be able to kind of focus in on 20% of that 20%. So this is the position where you want to be, because if you're a person, the 3 types of people you need to have is someone who actually has the vision to be able to make things up. And this is where the vision kind of comes into play, right? If the person right there on the top has the ability to make things up, this is where you are the vision. This is the vision that sits in place. They have to be able to have the vision, and they also need to be able to communicate that vision. The second thing that they need to also have is you need to have someone, right, to make it real. The people who make it real are typically the ones who come up with the strategy. Someone who's your practice manager possibly, or someone who's able to take what the vision area is and then be able to make it real. Now, this might be the same person. In my business, I am the person who's a visionary, and I also have to come up with the strategy. But that's okay, as long as you know that these are part of your strengths. The third part, of course, which is really important, is someone to make it happen. And that's the person to execute. Right? We need people to help you execute these strategies. What's the point of making things up if there's no one to kind of create strategies for? And what's the point of having all these strategies that never gets done? That's the whole point. You need to have all three in order for this to be effective. You need a visionary, right, on your team. You need to have strategists on your team, and you need definitely execution, people who are doing actual work to make sure this happens. And this is what we require on a continual basis in any business and in any practice. So you got to ask yourself the question is, do I have someone in my team who actually has clarity, right? Total clarity. This requires total clarity in order for us to create the vision, right? If you don't have a strong vision. That's why you never move anything forward. The second question is that, do you have someone who has a great strategist, right? Someone who can actually come up with the strategy. If you don't, this is going to be a problem. And the third thing is, do you actually have a team to help you execute what you've already created in terms of the strategy? This is what mostly lacks in most people, and you can't be everything. There's rarely a person who have great vision, have great strategy, and also are a really great worker. Typically, you have one or two of those things, which means you need a team to help you with the other three. And even if you are strong with one, sometimes you can't solve your own problems. This is what I help navigate through my clients through with all the time, is because what I help them recognize is gain some clarity on what they need, help them build strategies that actually matter rather than just doing whatever you think it matters. And you need to change and adopt and pivot those strategies continuously. And third is making sure you have a team to make sure you execute on those plans. If you have all three of those phases, then you have a winning team. If you don't, you're going to need to get some help. My suggestion is find someone who can help you, find someone who can guide you to give you clarity in each one of those, for clarity's sake, for vision, someone who can help you with your strategy. And number three is someone who can help you build a team to making sure they're executing on the right things. If you don't, you need to have someone who can guide you through that. If you want to have a chat about that, go to laurencetam.com. Let's help you through that. If you haven't joined my Facebook group on Chiral Think Tank, you should definitely consider that. Go Chiral Think Tank by Laurence Tam. Go join that group. It's free. And we're talking about ideas just like this all the time. And more importantly, right now, if you're looking for some help, go to joinnitro.com. I'm ready to help you. And let me help you get some clarity to earn more profit and create more freedom in your practice. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, that subscribe button, you should press it. And because I want to share videos with you just like this one to help you grow your practice.